Unbeknownst to many, life and death are merely surface manifestations. At their core, they are nothing more than the shifting forms of cause and effect. Yesterday's cause leads to today's consequence. No one can escape it. Just like now, Willow Eyebrows sat cross-legged in a loft of the Phantom Clan on the Thousand Illusions main star, gazing at the unfamiliar surroundings. She gently touched her storage pouch, finding a slight sense of reassurance. It was as if the items inside the pouch kept her company, warding off loneliness. As her fingers softly caressed the storage pouch, a flicker of pain flashed in her eyes once more. But this time, the pain was swiftly replaced by a cold indifference. From within the pouch, a sudden ripple pulsed out as if something inside had responded. Sensing the fluctuation, Willow Eyebrows bit her fingertip and squeezed out a drop of blood, flicking it into the pouch. The disturbance slowly faded and eventually vanished altogether. This magical artifact I prepared for him is now meaningless. She let out a quiet sigh. Something monumental had recently occurred on the Thousand Illusions main star. A long-lost ancestor of the Phantom Clan, who had disappeared thousands of years ago, had returned. Not only that, but he had brought with him a disciple of extraordinary talent. In 3 months' time, the clan would perform the blood replacement grand art for this disciple, formally integrating him into the clan's main bloodline. The news spread like a storm, rapidly sweeping across the star. Only when it had reached all the other cultivation stars affiliated with Thousand Illusions did the tide of whispers begin to subside. Renegade Star was one such affiliated star. In the Fong residence, ever since Sun Tai had left, Wang Lin had remained in seclusion, silently cultivating with his breathing technique. Sun Tai's storage pouch had held over 50,000 pieces of immortal jade, just about everything he could possibly gather. Including what he had from before, Wang Lin now possessed just under 300,000 pieces. His eyes flickered as he murmured to himself, "It should barely be enough." He stood up and disappeared from the room in a single step, reappearing on a barren plain 100,000 li away from the Sun family's city. Sweeping his divine sense across the surroundings, he slapped his storage pouch. In an instant, a vast quantity of immortal jade flew out, densely covering the sky. Wang Lin sat cross-legged on the ground and formed seals with his hands, sending out a flurry of marks. Immediately, the jade began descending, landing within a 10 li radius to form a massive array. This array had no name. Wang Lin had devised it himself while studying the third stance of the Tao Transformation Yellow Spring. It allowed him to absorb all the immortal jade at once, channeling the powerful shockwaves to rapidly increase his cultivation. As the nearly 300,000 pieces of jade settled into place, Wang Lin slapped his storage pouch again. The 7 stars sword formation burst forth, hovering in defense around him. At the same time, the shadow beneath him shimmered. His immortal guard vanished into thin air, blending into the surroundings. If anyone dared to interrupt, they would be killed on the spot. Taking a deep breath, Wang Lin closed his eyes and rested his hands on his knees, forming seals as he softly uttered, "Shatter." His voice turned into a spell mark, rumbling out like thunder. The immortal jade around him began exploding one after another, turning to dust. Within moments, it was as if the entire world had been blanketed in the powder of shattered jade. In the midst of the gray haze, an unimaginable surge of immortal power suddenly erupted. The strength of this immortal power was terrifying, too powerful to be believed. A storm of immortal force surged into the sky with Wang Lin at its center. Vast ripples spread outward, shaking the heavens and triggering a thunderous rumble above. The storm grew rapidly. More jade exploded, and more immortal power poured into the tempest, swelling it further and further, so much so that it seemed poised to tear through the skies of Renegade Star. At that moment, only 3 people across the entire Renegade Star clearly sensed the immortal power storm. The first was Sun Shi, the closest in proximity. Meditating in seclusion, he suddenly opened his eyes wide in shock. The second was a middle-aged man buried deep in the icy terrain on the far side of the star. Encased within a slab of ancient frost, he had been absorbing its chilling energy. The moment the storm arose, his eyes flew open, sharp light flashing within them as he peered through the frost toward the origin of the disturbance. "Is this a warning?" he muttered, frowning slightly. After a moment's pause, he chose to ignore it. The third was in the center of Ranyun's star, at the heart of the Ran family. Within the Ran family ancestral residence, an elderly man with a head of white hair was sitting with his eyes half closed, listening to a report from someone returning from the Sun family city about a pill auction. When he heard that an 8th grade pill had been sold for only a single piece of immortal jade, a cold snort escaped his lips and displeasure flashed in his eyes. Just as he was about to speak, the wave of immortal power hit. He abruptly stood up and turned toward its source, his expression darkening. After a long silence, he muttered to himself, "What does he mean by this?" Within the eye of the storm, Wang Lin formed another set of hand seals. His eyes snapped open as he let out a low shout, "Absorb." The single word thundered out like a bolt of lightning, threatening to shatter the tempest itself. As Wang Lin opened his mouth, the storm of immortal power shrank rapidly, as if drawn into him, consumed whole in the blink of an eye. Faintly, a yellow spring manifested around Wang Lin, swirling around him and forming an invisible force that merged into a spiritual energy whirlwind. It was as if a whale was swallowing the heavens and the earth, and the whirlwind of spiritual energy quickly shrank, being madly absorbed into Wang Lin's mouth. A vast amount of immortal jade coursed through his body, causing his meridians to expand countless times. When the spiritual energy reached his essence spirit, it was immediately devoured. At this moment, Wang Lin's physical body was like a tidal abyss, while his essence spirit was a black hole within that abyss, devouring everything. The enormous spiritual energy whirlwind rapidly shrank under Wang Lin's devouring power, and eventually, it all dissipated into his mouth. Wang Lin's complexion flushed slightly, his eyes flickering with electric light, and arcs of lightning danced across his body, crackling with energy. As the whirlwind vanished, the world returned to normal. The only strange thing remaining was the lack of clouds for miles around. It was as if everything that just happened had been an illusion. The Tao transformation yellow spring also gradually faded until it completely vanished without a trace. Wang Lin took a deep breath, standing up with a sharp glint in his eyes. Just by comprehending the realm, I could reach the mid-ascension stage. But the understanding of this realm cannot be rushed. Perhaps the next moment I will gain insight, or it might take 10 or 100 years. Now, it's time to deal with some trivial matters. I came to this Ranyun star to cultivate in peace, but there are people who don't want it to stay peaceful. Since they are intent on pulling me into their schemes, they must show enough sincerity. From my performance earlier, I believe these three have already realized something. Wang Lin's lips curled into a cold smile. With a wave of his right hand, the 7-star sword formation was immediately stored in his storage pouch. The invisible immortal guard puppet reappeared, transforming into a shadow of Wang Lin. As Wang Lin took a step forward, he teleported, and at the same time, his divine sense expanded and instantly spread across the entire Ranyun star, locking onto the divine sense of the mid-ascension cultivator. Then, Wang Lin's figure vanished. At the Ran family ancestral residence, the elder's expression changed. His eyes flashed with sharp light, and his body flickered as he teleported out. 1,000 miles outside the Ran family, the elder's figure shifted, and as soon as he appeared, he quickly formed a hand seal. A bolt of lightning appeared in his hand, and without hesitation, he threw it into the void. With a thunderous roar, a thunderbolt condensed in the elder's palm as he threw it out. The palm thunder, one of the Ran family ancestral master's mid-ascension divine abilities. The thunderbolt shot toward the void, but just then, a cold snort came from the emptiness. Wang Lin's figure appeared with a single step. His body remained still, but his shadow flickered behind him as the immortal guard puppet swept across in front of him, causing the palm thunder to instantly collapse. At the same time, the immortal guard puppet swiftly appeared before the Ran family ancestral master. With a gentle push, the elder immediately spat out a mouthful of blood, his body shooting back like a meteor. As he retreated, he coughed up more blood, his pale face hastily retrieving a handful of pills from his storage pouch and swallowing them. All of this happened in the blink of an eye, so fast that the Ran family ancestral master was left in shock, with a deep fear in his heart. What cultivation level does this person have? Too terrifying. He didn't have killing intent just now, or else I'd have definitely been dead with that strike. Could his cultivation be at the peak of mid-ascension? The elder sucked in a cold breath. The immortal guard puppet shrank and disappeared behind Wang Lin. Wang Lin coldly glanced at the Ran family ancestral master and said indifferently, "It's you? Who wants to drag Su into the events from 4 years ago?" The elder's mind shook. After a brief silence, he gritted his teeth and said, "Friend, I know I was wrong about this matter, but it's because I won't listen to your excuses. If you want my protection, show some sincerity." "Your sincerity is lacking," Wang Lin said calmly, hands behind his back. The elder took a deep breath, his thoughts racing. He immediately spoke. "What does friend mean? All of your family's immortal Jade, 90%, belongs to me." Wang Lin spoke slowly. The elder remained silent, internally hesitating. Wang Lin glanced ahead and spoke plainly. "You too. Come out as well." In the direction Wang Lin looked, 2 shadows materialized. It was Sun Shi and the middle-aged man from the glacier. Both of them appeared startled, having been shaken by the earlier scene where the Ran family ancestral master nearly died with a single sweep. "You offer 70% of your family's immortal Jade as protection." Wang Lin pointed at Sun Shi. Sun Shi's gaze grew serious, and he immediately nodded. "Su Daoist, this is acceptable. As long as I can escape the shadow of 4 years ago, I accept this condition. As for you, 90% of all your immortal Jade, all of it, belongs to me." Wang Lin's gaze fixed on the middle-aged man from the glacier. Additionally, all of those remaining pills, as well as the storage pouch from 4 years ago, including all the relics of the Phantom Clan members who died by your hands, must be handed over to me. Nothing left behind. And if my immortal Jade is still insufficient, you'll go get more. If you can't provide what I need for my cultivation, then this matter is no longer in my hands. If these 3 agree, then it's settled. If they disagree, Wang Lin naturally won't wade into such murky waters. The Ran family ancestor pondered for a moment. The threat from the Phantom Clan was indeed too great. If no one stepped forward in this matter, once it was discovered, the Ran family would face the danger of extermination. Gritting his teeth, he decisively said, "All right." After saying this, the Ran family ancestor's gaze flickered as he turned to lock eyes with the middle-aged man who had been cultivating in the ice. Not only was the Ran family ancestor like this, but Sun Shi also revealed a peculiar glint as he looked at the middle-aged man, the carefree wanderer. "Brother Zhao, that day's incident was done by the 3 of us together. Do you really think you can wash your hands of it?" the Ran family ancestor said coldly. The carefree wanderer fell silent for a moment, then sighed with a bitter smile. "I agree." He took out a storage pouch containing immortal Jade from his sleeve, retrieved some, and threw it directly to Wang Lin, saying bitterly, "My family isn't large, and we don't have that much immortal Jade. This pouch contains what I've saved with great effort." The Ran family ancestor and Sun Shi also handed over their immortal Jade. As such a precious consumable, cultivators would usually carry it with them. Regarding the relics of the deceased members of the Phantom Clan from years ago, the 3 had no hesitation, each taking out and surrendering all to Wang Lin. These items had weighed on their hearts for 4 years, not treasures, but instead burdens that caused them unease. Having collected these items, Wang Lin turned and vanished in an instant, leaving behind a single phrase that drifted into the air. "If there's nothing, don't disturb me. Should the Phantom Clan send someone, I will handle it myself." After Wang Lin left, the 3 fell into silence. Sun Shi had different thoughts in mind. At this moment, he was the most relaxed among them. With a slight smile, he cupped his fist and said, "Fellow Taoists, I have important matters to attend to, so I will take my leave first." The carefree wanderer also sighed and said, "I too must return to my family to prepare for any future requests from fellow Taoist Su for more immortal Jade." One headed north, the other south, both transforming into streaks of light as they departed. The Ran family ancestor stood alone in place, silent for a long time. Finally, he took a deep breath, raised his head to look into the distance, and murmured to himself, "Well, spending to avoid disaster. For years ago, it was Su Mu who endured this. If he hadn't died, we wouldn't be in this situation. Moreover, this person doesn't seem to be the kind to break his word, but I still have to be cautious. He might secretly leave Ranyan Star. At this moment, in the southern part of the Thousand Illusions Star, within the ancestral home of the Phantom Clan, the clan leader Huan Fengshan stood respectfully before an old man. The old man, with a gaunt face, was the one who had returned from the Alliance Star domain with willow eyebrows. Why is it only now that you handle this issue, for years after his disappearance? The old man's voice was cold as ice. Ancestor, that person was merely a branch clan member of the Phantom Clan. He just had better talents and reached the mid-stage of seeking supremacy. This is why he received an external position. As you know, the Phantom Clan has too many members. Aside from the direct lineage, we cannot possibly investigate every missing person in detail. Huan Fengshan replied calmly. Is there no one with a higher cultivation than him? The old man furrowed his brows and inquired. Ancestor, your timeline is too tight. If you could give me 3 more months, I could find someone more qualified, but currently, I cannot. Huan Fengshan spoke softly. Fine, I will grant you 3 more months. The old man contemplated for a moment and spoke decisively. And what about the clan member who went missing 4 years ago? Huan Fengshan looked up and asked. Since we are aware of this matter, have the clan guards assigned to Huan Mei handle it. Root out all those involved. The power of the Phantom Clan must be established. Huan Fengshan acknowledged and took his leave. After exiting the room, a shadow flickered in his eyes, and he silently thought, the ancestor is growing old. To go so far as to use the blood replacement grand art for an outsider and to have Huan Mei assert dominance. Does he intend to pass on the Phantom Clan to this person in the future? 3 days later, Willow Eyebrows stood in her loft, gazing at the sky outside, softly murmuring, Renegade Star. Since my adoptive father has entrusted this task to me, allowing me to send the clan guards to handle it, then Huan Dong, you shall go. Yes. A person materialized from the void behind Willow Eyebrows. This person looked to be in his 30s, handsome and dignified. Upon appearing, he knelt on one knee, looking up at Willow Eyebrows' silhouette with eyes filled with fervor. You have reached the peak of the mid-stage of seeking supremacy. You shouldn't run into any unexpected issues on this trip. Though this matter may seem small, it's my first task in the Phantom Clan. You must act quickly and decisively, Huan Dong. Do you understand? Willow Eyebrows turned around and looked at the man behind her, speaking softly. Miss, rest assured, Huan Dong won't let you down. Huan Dong inhaled deeply, his eyes even more fervent. Since the moment he first laid eyes on Willow Eyebrows, he had been utterly captivated, considering her a celestial being. Among the Renegade Star, the highest cultivator is just the Ran family ancestor. He is at the same level as I, in the mid-stage of seeking supremacy. Even if this person had 100 bold ideas, he wouldn't dare to resist. Huan Dong's journey will certainly uphold the reputation of the Mississippi. Lu Mei's eyebrows arched as she smiled, her expression extremely beautiful. In the eyes of Huan Dong, it was even more stunning. He stood dazed for a moment, his gaze filled with intense passion, even tinged with a strong obsession. Wang Lin, using his teleportation technique, returned to the small city of the Sun family. He didn't go directly to the mansion, but instead walked along the street, contemplating the insights of his cultivation. The insight of the cycle of life and death had already merged into his essence spirit. His essence spirit was now one with the perception of the cycle of life and death. Beyond life and death, there is cause and effect, but it is uncertain. The path of cause and effect is too vast. When I previously sought enlightenment, I realized the heart Tao and transformed into the yellow spring. However, the path of the yellow spring is a manifestation of death within life and death, dying in the yellow spring. As he looked at the bustling crowd around him, Wang Lin's brow furrowed slightly. But where does the path of life lie? Lost in thought, Wang Lin sighed lightly and entered the northern city. He immediately spotted the young man sitting cross-legged under a stone, and he smiled slightly. This woman has a kind heart. Such cultivators are rare in the cultivation world. The young man seemed to sense something, opened his eyes, and froze upon seeing Wang Lin. After a moment, his eyes widened in surprise as he said, "Ew, weren't you taken away by someone?" Wang Lin smiled and said, "They asked me a few things, then let me go." The young man looked at Wang Lin with confusion, but didn't press further. Everyone had their own secrets, and if someone didn't want to speak, asking was useless. You should focus on your cultivation. I see that your cultivation hasn't changed since the last time you came here. Remember what I told you last time? The young man said seriously. Diligence can make up for a lack of talent. Wang Lin nodded, showing a grin, and said, You too. Keep working hard, and aim to reach spirit transformation as soon as possible. Spirit transformation. The young man shook his head bitterly and said, I heard from my elders in the family that spirit transformation has nothing to do with hard work. No matter how diligent you are, if you don't comprehend the Tao, you can't become a demigod. You won't be able to truly explore the edge of the Tao. In this life, if I can reach the late stage of nascent soul, I'll be content. Wang Lin smiled slightly. At that moment, the sun was behind him, and the sunlight fell on his face. His smile seemed to carry a touch of the sun's warmth. Keep this mindset, and you will reach spirit transformation, Wang Lin said. The young man clearly thought Wang Lin was comforting him, and he smiled. All right, if I ever reach spirit transformation, I'll remember your foresight today. Now, you should go back and cultivate. Wang Lin nodded with a smile, turned, and disappeared into the entrance. The young man under the stone muttered softly to himself, Can I really reach spirit transformation? Back at the mansion, Wang Lin sat cross-legged. His immortal power was abundant, but without an increase in his insights, swallowing more spiritual energy would be useless. After a moment of contemplation, he took out the relics of the Phantom clan members given to him by the 3 ancestors of the Rand family. All the relics were stored in a storage pouch, which contained some clothes and other trivial items. What caught Wang Lin's attention, besides the 8th grade elixir, were 2 magical artifacts, a jade slip and a command token. Both magical artifacts had no spiritual marks, and there was even a lingering trace of resentment left by the Phantom clan members who had died years ago. Clearly, the Rand family ancestor and the carefree wanderer dared not leave their spiritual marks on these artifacts. One of the magical artifacts was a black comb with 19 teeth, emanating a bloody scent. As soon as Wang Lin held it, he immediately felt the murderous intent radiating from it. An attack-type pseudo-immortal treasure. It even has an array formation. This artifact's power is extraordinary. Wang Lin lightly touched the comb's teeth with his finger, then his gaze moved to the other magical artifact. This was a pair of firestones made of golden material, shimmering purple gold. As they floated in his hand, Wang Lin could clearly feel the sharp, pricking energy emanating from them. Staring at the firestones, Wang Lin's eyes flashed with excitement. He pinched one and rubbed them together. Instantly, sparks like countless stars appeared, and a wave of heat hit his face. A naturally formed magical artifact. Wang Lin inhaled sharply, his focus entirely on the firestones. Most magical artifacts were refined by cultivators, but some were naturally formed. These types of artifacts were incredibly rare, even rarer than inherited artifacts. Wang Lin learned about such artifacts through the memories of the ancient god Tu-Si. In the eyes of the ancient gods, they weren't even considered true magical artifacts, but rather refining materials. Firestones were one of those naturally occurring refining materials. Although they were originally a metallic substance, their hardness was incredibly high, and due to some strange divine powers within them, rubbing them together would produce sparks. These sparks were not the same as those used by ordinary people to start a fire. They were golden fire, similar to the Yang fire used by the general of the heavenly demon county in the land of demonic spirits. Instead of using them to refine artifacts, they could be used as magical treasures, and their power was formidable. Although this pair of firestones was naturally formed, they contained too many impurities. If refined, they would likely not even reach 1/10 of their current size. Stowing away this item, Wang Lin picked up the token. Scanning it with his divine sense, the token immediately emitted a dazzling light. After 3 changes, it returned to normal. This is the identity token of the Huan family? Wang Lin held the token, his divine sense probing it carefully. After a long while, a serious expression flashed in his eyes. At first glance, the token seemed ordinary, just a marker of identity. No matter how Wang Lin's divine sense repeatedly scanned it, it remained the same. But Wang Lin always felt that something was amiss. After pondering for a moment, he muttered, "Immortal Guard." Immediately, the shadow beneath him stretched out, closely adhering to Wang Lin's skin, following his arm to envelop the token. Wang Lin closed his eyes, and through the changing yin-yang aspects of the immortal guard, he immediately saw the secret within the token. After a while, Wang Lin suddenly opened his eyes, his face darkened. This token's material is unremarkable, but it contains a divine ability related to the life soul. It seems the Huan family is already aware of their clan member's death. After a brief silence, Wang Lin set the token aside and picked up the final item, the Jade Slip. This Jade Slip, like the token, held no divine sense, only a trace of resentment from the deceased. The Ran family ancestors must be extremely cautious. They dared not even probe with their divine sense. Otherwise, this resentment would dissipate with the slightest push. Wang Lin's eyes flickered as his divine sense merged with the Jade Slip, and the trace of resentment immediately vanished. As his divine sense entered the Jade Slip, an invisible wave emanated from it. The wave spread silently, about to exit the room. At that moment, a flash of lightning sparked in Wang Lin's eyes. Tiny bolts of lightning shot from his eyes, crashing into the wave of energy with a series of cracking sounds, shattering it entirely. With the transmission wave from the Jade Slip obliterated, Wang Lin carefully examined the contents recorded within. After some time, he withdrew his divine sense, a peculiar light flashing in his eyes, growing brighter by the second. Indeed, it's the 1,000 illusions of heartlessness path. So, the Huan family of the 1,000 illusion star is behind this, Wang Lin murmured. The Jade Slip recorded the cultivation method of the Huan family's divine abilities, but it was cloaked with special seals that obscured key parts. Even if outsiders obtained it, they wouldn't be able to make sense of it. The way to unlock it was through bloodline. If this was all, Wang Lin wouldn't be so moved. What truly caught his attention was the message recorded in the Jade Slip from a Huan family member who had died 4 years ago. On Xun'er star, a golden flame vein was discovered, and 1 pair was extracted. Wang Lin's eyes glowed with a strange light, his gaze fixed on the Jade Slip as he muttered, "A golden flame firestone vein. No wonder this person was chased to the brink of death and fled to Renegade Star. Such a treasure would make anyone act immediately to seize it and seal off all information." This further confirmed that the Ran family ancestors had never seen this Jade Slip. Otherwise, how could they have allowed him to be involved? Of course, there could still be hidden mysteries. Wang Lin pondered for a moment, convinced that the Ran family ancestors did not know about this matter. Taking a deep breath, Wang Lin's eyes shone with brilliance as he muttered to himself, "If only the heavenly defying pearl were of the metal element, I wouldn't believe that an entire golden flame firestone vein couldn't make it complete. Once the heavenly defying pearl is perfected, as Xun'er said, it will recognize a master. I wonder what abilities it will bestow after it does. If the news of this golden flame firestone vein hadn't been exposed, it would have been fine, but now that it has, anyone who tries to compete with me, I will kill them." Wang Lin's eyes gleamed with coldness, his killing intent palpable. Wang Lin stored away everything, his gaze flickering as his thoughts swirled. Xun'er star, I wonder where it is. Wang Lin's eyes opened and closed, his divine sense immediately shot out. Scanning across Renegade Star, it quickly locked onto the location of Sun Shi. Sun Shi, currently at the Sun family's ancestral residence, had been meditating when he suddenly froze. He looked up, and a voice, ethereal and distant, rang in his ears. "Send me the star chart of the Luotian star domain that you know," etched on a Jade Slip. Sun Shi's gaze flickered, and he nodded slightly. Reaching into his storage pouch, he pulled out a Jade Slip. Focusing intently, he etched the chart, then tossed it into the air. The Jade Slip transformed into a streak of light, vanishing into the sky. 10 days passed in the blink of an eye, and Wang Lin received the star chart Jade Slip. In it, he located Xun'er star. The star was quite far from here, and even without any delay, the round trip would take several months. The star chart Jade Slip also contained Sun Shi's notes, which revealed that Xun'er star had no cultivators left. It was an abandoned planet, filled with poisonous mist and miasma that could kill any cultivator. Holding the Jade Slip, Wang Lin's eyes gleamed with thought. Over the past 10 days, he had carefully studied the star map within the Jade Slip, memorizing it, while also organizing his magical artifacts. One day, Wang Lin stood up and walked out of the residence. With a single step, he vanished from his original location and reappeared tens of thousands of miles away in the void, heading straight for the wind barrier that marked the highest layer of the sky. At this moment, the Ran family ancestor, the carefree wanderer, and Sun Shi appeared before Wang Lin, having shifted their positions. The Ran family ancestor's face was grim as he looked at Wang Lin and softly asked, "Friend Su, are you leaving?" The carefree wanderer's expression was unchanged, though it was clear he was not pleased. Only Sun Shi wore a bitter smile. He had sensed something amiss when Wang Lin asked for the star map, but he hadn't expected Su Mu to truly have the thought of leaving. Wang Lin coldly glanced at the three of them and replied indifferently, "Once I promise something, I won't go back on my word. I'll be gone for at least a year, or at most a few months." If it weren't for the immortal Jade they had given him, Wang Lin would have never explained himself to the three of them. Hearing Wang Lin's words, the Ran family ancestor hesitated before saying, "Friend Su, may I ask if there is something urgent that requires your departure? Perhaps we three can handle it for you. Please don't take offense, but after we three gave up nearly all our possessions, you are leaving Ranyun Star so soon. We can't help but have our doubts," the carefree wanderer said, cupping his hands, his voice low. "Friend Su, though I believe in your character, this matter," Sun Shi smiled bitterly. The three of them acted as one might expect. After all, anyone who had just handed over almost all their wealth would feel the same way. Wang Lin furrowed his brows and suddenly looked up, his expression shifting as he gazed into the sky. The Ran family ancestor and the other two immediately noticed the change, looking up as well, their expressions changing slightly. At this moment, outside Ranyun Star, Huan Dong, riding the star compass, rushed forward with a cold, proud look in his eyes, heading straight for Ranyun Star. "Since the young miss entrusted me with this task, I will handle it decisively. If I do this well, the young miss will surely look favorably upon me. All those involved will die." Huan Dong's eyes burned with passion as he spoke, his figure like a comet shooting through the wind barrier. His arrival was anything but subtle, and his divine sense exploded, his immortal power radiating out and surrounding the heavens and earth. Combined with his divine sense, the scene created an aura reminiscent of a divine being descending from the heavens. At that moment, all the cultivators on Ranyun Star felt the overwhelming pressure. The arrogance in that aura felt as if it were looking down on ants, sweeping across the land. "I am Huan Dong, second clan guard of the Phantom Clan of the Thousand Illusions main star, and a peak cultivator of Ranyun Star. Come meet me." The cold voice was filled with arrogance, and the sound rumbled like thunder, shaking the entire Ranyun Star. Cultivators below the peak level felt their minds tremble, and many of the lower-level cultivators even coughed up blood from the shock. In a small city of the Sun family, a young man under a mountain stone was among those affected. He had been practicing his breathing technique, but Huan Dong's voice, containing both divine sense and immortal power, instantly shocked his heart veins. He spat out blood, his body immediately weakened. There were many cultivators like him on Ranyun Star, and in that moment, the Ran family ancestor, Sun Shi, and the carefree wanderer all turned pale, their faces draining of color. The words Phantom Clan seemed like a sword that could pierce anything, instantly shaking their divine souls, causing them to feel a profound sense of dread. "They've come, the Phantom Clan, they've come," Sun Shi muttered to himself bitterly, then immediately turned to look at Wang Lin, his eyes showing a flicker of hope amidst his despair. The Ran family ancestor and the carefree wanderer did the same, all gazing at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression remained unchanged, but a cold glint flashed in his eyes. Taking their money, he would repay their troubles. Wang Lin's divine sense spread out like a thunderbolt, rumbling in the sky, but not leaking a single trace. It locked onto the horizon, forming a single word. Scram. As the word spoke, thunder cracked, and in the violent explosion of sound, Huan Dong, who had just breached the wind barrier, was struck by the descending thunder. His eyes flashed with murderous intent as he shouted, "Looking for death." He immediately formed a hand seal, and a white light appeared in his hand, emanating an ominous chill that spread through the heavens and earth. As a peak cultivator of the Phantom clan, Huangdong, though limited by his talent, was unable to practice the 1,000 illusions of heartlessness. Instead, he had cultivated the Phantom clan's second-tier technique, the Heart Intent 5 Elements art. His understanding of the art had led him to comprehend the metal art, which represented unbreakable strength. His intent surged with his divine abilities, transforming into the white light in his right hand. In that instant, it seemed to replace the light of the heavens, as if all the light of the sky was drawn into his hand. With the power of the light, he suddenly pressed down. Wang Lin's expression remained unchanged, though a flicker of lightning danced in his eyes, surging through his body as if he controlled the very thunder of the heavens. He raised his right hand and pointed. The annihilation finger shot forward with a piercing wind. This time, it contained a thick bolt of lightning, its power increasing several times over. If one looked closely, it would feel like facing the wrath of a thunderous tribulation. The sound of the attack echoed and expanded, turning into booming thunder that filled the heavens and earth. The black long arc of the annihilation finger was surrounded by thunderous might, resembling the wrath of a divine lightning tribulation. With a single point, the light surrounding Huangdong's body disintegrated without any resistance. His face turned pale, and his body swiftly retreated. The power of the finger was overwhelming, so strong that even with his cultivation, it made him tremble. But the black lightning streak, like a black dragon, roared and shot forward, chasing Huangdong, who was retreating. Huangdong slapped his storage pouch, and a golden sword flew out. At the same time, he formed a seal with his right hand and placed it on the golden sword, shouting, "Power of gold." The golden sword howled as it charged at the black lightning streak. A deafening crash echoed as the golden sword was struck by the annihilation finger's wind, making a series of violent sounds. It cracked inch by inch and finally shattered, vanishing into nothingness. The black lightning streak pierced through the air like a bolt of lightning, cutting through the void, and reached Huangdong's front. In a desperate moment, Huangdong pressed his palms together and pushed forward, meeting the black streak with his own force. A thunderous explosion erupted, and Huangdong's body shook. He spat out a mouthful of blood, his entire figure sent flying like a meteor. His body flickered with lightning, and each flash caused his injuries to worsen. The lightning split, and part of it coiled around his essence spirit, causing excruciating pain to surge through it. His face turned ashen, his eyes filled with horror. What kind of lightning is this? What cultivation level is this person at? He's terrifying. Just a single divine ability can heavily injure me. This person is definitely not from Renegade Star. I can't fight him. I must escape and report this to the young miss. Huangdong slapped his legs, and a white light flickered around them, increasing his speed. Half of his body had already melded into the void, preparing to teleport away. When Wang Lin's cultivation was still at the early stages of Ascendant, his divine abilities and techniques surpassed those in the mid-stages. The only reason he couldn't win against someone in the later stages was the vast difference in cultivation realms. In the mid-stages, however, he could still fight. Now, though Wang Lin's cultivation was still in the early Ascendant stage, the immortal power within him was already nearing the mid-Ascendant stage. All he needed was insight into the Tao to break through. With this, killing Huangdong was as easy as flipping a hand. As Huangdong attempted to flee, the coldness in Wang Lin's eyes deepened. Take someone's money, and you must remove their disaster. Sometimes, in this world, it's hard to distinguish right from wrong. Wang Lin lightly tapped his storage pouch, and the 7 stars sword formation shimmered into existence, transforming into 7 streaks of light that tore through the air. The 7 stars sword formation, created by sword sovereign Ling Tianho, was not something an ordinary person could resist. In an instant, the 7 swords pursued Huangdong, and just as his figure fully merged into the void, they reached him. 7 zodiac evil spirits emerged from the 7 swords, merging and roaring as they struck the void with massive claws. The sound of a mirror shattering echoed, and Huangdong, eyes wide with horror, was forcibly torn from the void. At the same time, the 7 star sword formation surrounded him, their blades gleaming, ready to penetrate his body and destroy his divine sense at the slightest movement. From the moment Huangdong appeared to being captured, it all happened in the blink of an eye, just a few breaths' time. Ran family ancestor gasped. Although he had known about Wang Lin's power and had personally felt it before, seeing it from a third-party perspective now gave him a different feeling. His eyes were filled with apprehension. When Wang Lin had struck at him before, it had been a fleeting shadow, and he had nearly died. Now, looking at it, Wang Lin's divine abilities were not limited to just that shadow. Every technique he casually wielded was astonishing. In his heart, he made a firm decision. He would never make an enemy of Su Mu in this lifetime. The carefree wanderer's shock was no less than the Ran family ancestors. If anything, it was even greater. His eyes were fixed on the 7-star sword formation, and he took a deep breath. At that moment, he had no doubt that if Su Mu wanted to kill him, he wouldn't survive. This person's cultivation is likely at the perfect late ascendant stage. In contrast, Sun Shi remained relatively calm. He had already raised Wang Lin's cultivation to a very high level in his mind. Now, though, he felt a flicker of joy in his heart. The stronger Su Mu becomes, the more I must challenge him. Huangdong's scalp tingled. The 7 sword lights surrounding him were like a death sentence hanging over his head, ready to fall at any moment. He glared at Wang Lin, also noticing the Ran family ancestor and the others. He controlled his expression and shouted, "Ran Xiefeng, Sun Shi, Zhao Chuanwen, do you 3 want to die?" The 3 remained silent, not speaking. However, cold gleams flashed in their eyes. Huangdong saw the cold gleam and inwardly cursed, realizing the situation was dire. He shouted loudly, "I, Huan, am here on my family's orders. Even if you kill me, the Phantom Clan will send others to replace me. Can you truly kill every one of us? With your strength, to go against the Phantom Clan is certain death. Let me go, and I will personally seek justice for you." Although Huangdong's words were directed at the Ran family ancestor and the other 2, his gaze occasionally shifted toward Wang Lin, clearly showing deep wariness toward the one who had captured him, while also speculating about his true identity. Hearing this, the Ran family ancestor's eyes flickered with hesitation, but it was quickly replaced by resolve. He spoke in a calm tone. "Friend Huan, may I ask the reason for your visit to Ranyan Star?" Huangdong fixed his gaze firmly on the Ran family ancestor. Then his eyes swept over the other 2, sneering. "So, it was indeed you who killed my people 4 years ago. Ran Xiefeng, Sun Shi, Zhao Chuanwen, your bloodlines are doomed." A dark glint flashed in the Ran family ancestor's eyes, and he turned to Wang Lin, cupping his fists. "Brother Su, what do you think of handing this person over to us?" Wang Lin remained unfazed and nodded slightly. "Su, who are you really, and why are you meddling with the Phantom Clan's affairs?" Huangdong suddenly glared at Wang Lin. His voice was sharp. "Su, my family's ancestor has already returned. Do you think you can resist him? Release me, and I promise not to mention you in front of the young lady. This matter will never trouble you again." "The young lady of the Phantom Clan?" Wang Lin glanced at Huangdong. "Brother Su, you may not know this, but when the Phantom Clan ancestor returned, he brought back a woman from the Alliance Star domain and took her as an adopted daughter. Soon, he plans to perform the blood replacement grand art to alter her bloodline." Sun Shi explained from the side. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed as he asked, "The Phantom Clan ancestor, what level of cultivation?" Huangdong relaxed inwardly and answered, "The ancestor is at the 2nd step of cultivation. Several thousand years ago, he was already at the Yinyang Void Realm." Wang Lin smiled faintly and cast a glance at the Ran family ancestor and the others. To them, his gaze seemed to carry a hint of mockery, especially toward the Ran family ancestor, who lowered his head in embarrassment. "This man is in your hands now. It has nothing to do with me," Wang Lin said flatly. He then summoned the 7 stars sword, which glowed with sword energy as it moved through Huangdong's body, sealing his essence spirit before returning to Wang Lin's side with lightning speed. "I have other matters to attend to. I'll return in a few months." Wang Lin turned and walked away. Desperation flashed in Huangdong's eyes as he screamed, "If you kill me, the young lady won't spare you. Miss Huanmei is the ancestor's only disciple, and she will be the future head of the Phantom Clan." Wang Lin paused mid-step, turned slowly and stared at Huandong. Calmly, he asked Huan Mei, what was her original name? Huandong sneered and said, release me, and I'll tell you. Before he could finish, Wang Lin's brow furrowed. His large hand reached into the air, and Huandong's body flew toward him, landing in his palm. Wang Lin placed his hand on Huandong's forehead, and a flash of lightning-like energy surged from his eyes. Shadows stretched from his arm, enveloping Huandong's entire body. Soul-searching art. Although Huandong was in the mid-stage of nascent soul, to perform a soul search, Wang Lin had to borrow the power of the Immortal Guard. Huandong's memories were like fragmented pieces, and as Wang Lin's divine sense swept through them, each fragment was revealed. Huandong's body trembled violently, his eyes bulging, showing immense pain and struggle. As Wang Lin delved deeper, his attention suddenly fixed on a stunning woman in Huandong's memories. Wang Lin's expression darkened as memories of events from Vermilion Bird Star, including those in the Vermilion Bird Tomb, flooded his mind. This woman received great fortune and arrived at this Luotian star domain. Wang Lin muttered to himself, his thoughts heavy. After a long silence, he looked up toward the sky and walked away without saying another word. The Ran family ancestor and the others didn't dare to stop him, watching helplessly as Wang Lin's figure gradually disappeared. Once outside the gale winds, Wang Lin tapped his storage pouch, and the star compass flew out. He mounted it, transforming into a silver dragon, vanishing into the starry sky. On the silver dragon, Wang Lin sat cross-legged, muttering to himself, Lu Mei, this woman is my mortal enemy. If she knows her place, it might be fine, but if she causes trouble like she did on Vermilion Bird Star, then I may have no choice but to kill her. As for the Phantom Clan ancestor, there's no need for a life or death struggle with him. If he intervenes, and with the Immortal Guard in hand, all I need to do is leave. After all, I am alone, but he is a clan leader. I can't defeat him, but I can kill a few of his clansmen in retaliation. Having made up his mind, Wang Lin no longer gave any thought to Lu Mei. Instead, he focused on the star map in his mind and headed straight for Misty Cloud Star. The golden flame vein on Misty Cloud Star is crucial to me. It's the key to completing the heaven-defying pearl. I won't allow anyone to stop me. Whoever tries to take it from me will die. Wang Lin's eyes gleamed with cold light as he swept through the starry sky, his figure cutting through the void. He didn't stop for a moment along the way, pushing forward with all his strength. Following the star map, after a month, Misty Cloud Star finally appeared in his divine sense from afar.